Hello, hello! This week we talk all things Formula One, my favorite topic. As a die-hard F1 fan since 1997, I couldn't let the season wrap-up slide without diving into it with my two F1 obsessed friends, Brad Coleman and Daniel Chan. Fun fact, 9 months ago, I created my own F1 private club here in Perth called F1 GTT, Gibberish Trash Talk. And yes, recruitment involved me shamelessly approaching strangers wearing F1 gear on the street. Weird? Maybe. Passionate? Absolutely. If you're team Sir Lewis Hamilton like me, or cheering for Max Verstappen or Charles Leclerc, join us as we unpack the exciting season. And by the way, Michael Masi, if I see you in Australia, you better run. Also, stick around to learn some fun Cantonese slang with me and Professor Theo. So lights out and away we go!
Great.
Hello.
Jason.
Morning, Brad.
How are you?
I'm good, thanks. How you going?
I've been looking forward to this chat for the whole weekend, and we're finally here.
What a crazy
Finally,
weekend.
someone who I could talk to F1 about.
Okay, first of all, we have to remind us of how we met, right? We met at a Emergence Festival conference down in Margaret River in Perth, in WA. And I was one of the speakers on stage, and I announced that I'm a huge F1 fan. If anyone comes, can come over and talk to me. And then you were the first person, and I was so thrilled.
I knew we'd have something in common as soon as you said that. I thought, finally, someone here. That's great.
No one was interested in the creative. Brad just came straight over with your
fun. That's right. I don't care about all that stuff.
So let's talk about all things F1, because that's what we're here to talk about.
Awesome.
What do you think of last night Abu Dhabi finale race?
I thought it was a great race. It's a really nice end to the season. I thought it was, I was thinking just a minute ago how good it would be if they were all like that. It's one of those sort of thrilling races where I was, anything could have happened for Lando to lose it at the last minute and the two Ferraris to storm through, and the whole championship would have been won by them at that point. So very thrilling and very tense.
I mean, to be honest, so our group of F1 fans, Clang, my F1 club, FTGTT, we do predictions every weekend, right? And I think nobody thought Lando was going to bring it home. No one.
No.
Everyone thought it was Max.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely thought it was Max.
Yeah. So it was actually quite interesting that Lando, as much as he's not consistent, he brought it home, which I was quite surprised, actually.
He even led the first lap, which is really quite unusual for him.
Yeah. I think it's all those, sim drives that he practiced the shit out of it.
Yeah, that must be it.
Well, after getting it wrong 15 times, you think you could eventually get it right.
Yes.
I mean, when Max did the major dive bomb at the first corner, I really didn't expect it. And somehow, as much as I'm not a Max fan, and I wouldn't use the word hate, because hate is a very strong word. Yeah. Never been his fan. But this whole season, with his sense of humor and the more character that he comes out, I actually begin to quite like him.
Yeah, you're lightening up on him.
Yes.
I think I am too a little bit, but I still really don't like him.
I was hoping that he would dive bomb into Lando instead of Oscar. But it was just really bad luck that Oscar, got the brunt of it.
Yeah, that was quite shocking. As soon as he did it, I just thought, I bet he gets away with it too. I bet his car will recover completely and he'll get quite a good result. And sure enough, he did. But
I mean, not to mention the FIA and the stewards, the inconsistent,
unbelievable,
in such an expensive, world-class sport.
Yeah,
it's actually a joke. It's a bloody joke.
It really is. And it's been going for so long. It's not like they're just suddenly faced with these decisions. Surely most of these things have been going on before. You'd think they'd have something in place. It's like, this is that, scenario. Here we go. But they
were
don't.
Just pulling penalties out of a hat. Really.
Yeah.
They were like, who knows what we're going to pull out this time? Let's have a look.
But the problem is that they don't give it out consistently. So, Max could be getting away with it one weekend. And then, last night, he got 10 seconds. You're like, what?
Yeah.
And then suddenly they gave it to, who was it? Who was it last night got 10 seconds?
Oscar got 10 seconds.
Oscar.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm like, well, you need to be fair here because everyone's watching. And how are you going to justify this?
Yeah. I think
But how was that first one not a, just a turn one, lap one incident? That they every other week they're like, don't worry about it. And then this week they're like, okay, 10 seconds.
It's an incident.
Yeah.
Incident, yes. And did you see the pre-race on the bus? When all the drivers get on the rooftop, open rooftop.
Yeah.
And we saw that everyone was hanging out, chatting. Lance Stroll was the only one had no friends.
I know.
And we were kind of
felt sort of bad for him.
You feel bad for him, but at the same time, I'll be like, you know what? How many weekends can I deal with this?
Yeah.
Like being the rich brat that I don't deserve to be here. And everyone thinks the same. And I have no respect from anybody apart from Alonso that's the only one that talks to me because you get paid by my dad.
Yeah. And especially after such a good season, like Alonso basically held that team together for the whole season. Like they came 5th or something. And I just can't believe it. With the amount of time Stroll has sort of done nothing over a weekend, it shows what Alonso's kind of capable of. Even in, not the best car or anything, he's still hang in there. So, yeah, it is a shame to see Stroll still going. Imagine if they had 2 good drivers.
Exactly. I mean, surely, like...
You mean like Red Bull?
No, but even if they have Checo in there, I'm sure Checo will be better than Lance Stroll.
Maybe they should have got Daniel in there.
Yeah, exactly. It's just embarrassing. I mean, if I were him, I would just quit already and just like give that seat up for someone who really deserves to be there. Because clearly there were so many times, there's so many clips of Lance Stroll just being bored.
Yeah.
He looks so bored at any kind of like breathing, and it's just like...
There's that great media conference where they sort of say, what's going on? And he sort of says, oh, nothing.
Yeah.
It's like,
it's embarrassing.
Yeah, it really is.
It's like, do you want to be here or not? Yeah. And then there's one clip of Lewis looking at him just going, we all know what Lewis was thinking.
Yeah.
But it's just like, you know what? If you don't want to do that, get the fuck out.
Yeah. Yeah, that's absolutely. Fall on your sword. Do the right thing by your dad. He'll be so thankful for it.
And can we talk about how Nico Hülkenberg overqualified Max?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I know. How good's Hülkenberg been this whole season? It's really great.
Seriously, it's shocking, actually.
Yeah. Well, everyone used to talk about him, about how he was kind of that prodigy. He was going to be the guy. He came up, through the ranks and he did really well. And he just never really delivered on it. I mean, he's done some crazy number of races now, the more than anybody else, like 200 and something races without a win or without a podium. It's amazing.
Yeah, he's definitely underrated. And I think, the new principal has brought a new light of Hülkenberg that I haven't seen. So, good for him.
But it's kind of also very obvious about out of, 20 cars, how many of them can actually win. Because there's, on any given day, I mean, there's only really those top 3 or 4 that can actually pull it off.
Yeah.
The drivers realistically, between the top 10 and 12, all being within 1 second of each other. That's insane. That is so crazy when you think, how long is 1 second?
Yeah.
And you can get all of those people across the line in the exact same time almost.
Yeah, it's really gotten down to just tiny little margins now. It's really amazing to watch, just even the difference of like 2 seasons ago. If you had, if you're ahead by 3/10, it's like, oh, yeah, that's normal. And now it's like, the top 10 will all finish in 3/10. It's really amazing.
I mean, this season has been so wicked that none of us within our gang that expected it, right?
No.
Because we thought that Max was going to like sail through, win every race. But thanks to Horner's dick pic, that changed the whole game.
Absolutely, yeah.
I mean, I actually keep saying to Jason, I don't know when men are going to learn that stop doing stuff like that because you're going to get caught out.
It's absolutely ridiculous. Yeah.
It doesn't matter whether you're like a team principal or like a politician or like a mega like celebrity, singer, whatever and stuff. It's like, stop being a dick and stop using your dick for everything.
Yeah.
You're going to get found out, especially now.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, how did he, like, firstly, why would he do it? And secondly, like, how would you think you'd get away with it in a digital realm? Everything's traceable. Everything's, God, and it's just a horrible thing to do in the first place. It's people with power, God.
I know. And then the poor girl is like, it doesn't work in Red Bull anymore.
Yeah.
So it's actually the woman's fault again.
But I mean, the internal investigations show that he was innocent. So blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
I
Of
mean,
course
of
they did.
course.
Yeah,
Of
2
course.
internal investigations that we'll probably never
Yeah.
see the results of.
And
No.
what surprised me when this whole thing came out was how the Red Bull owners, the Thai couples, really supported him.
Yeah,
And I personally have to question the integrity and the values as people.
of course.
I mean, I know money talks in F1,
Yeah,
but still, come on.
yeah.
And then the girl gets sacked. Is like
I
typical.
know.
And
I
I'm so
think
glad
that's the
like
lesson.
Lewis, like, said something about it. Only Lewis, no one
Yeah,
else, because they're like
of course.
chickens. Can we talk about Charles? Charles went from like what, 18, 16?
Yeah.
18 to P8 within the first lap or two. Like,
It was amazing.
I mean, I love Charles and his girlfriend and their cute dog, but I don't think, I mean, people are going to come at me for saying this. I don't think he has the quality to be a champion yet.
Yeah,
As he said himself, he's just too fucking nice, and
Yeah.
he is. Whereas Carlos, I almost wish that Carlos would stay in Ferrari, because
I
I really
know.
want to see that dynamic between him and Lewis just going at it. But it's not going to happen.
No.
I like last night race made me think that, you know what, Charles has what it takes.
Yeah, that was insane last night.
Yeah,
He
I've
did.
noticed that with Carlos. He's just got, every time he does really well. I mean, the beginning of the season where he got appendicitis and then came back 2 weeks later and won the Australian Grand Prix was absolutely amazing. And I've noticed
Crazy,
since
like-
then, I was just shocked. Like, he's just been such a good, solid racer the whole way through. And even though he knows he's leaving at the end of the season, he's very philosophical about it now. But it's just such a shame that we don't really get to see him sort of flourish under the team that he's really helped to build.
Yeah, 100%. Not
Mm.
only that, like you can tell he's like a great human.
Yeah,
he
he
is
is.
competitive.
Yeah.
But at the same time, he's just a decent human that
Yeah.
all his teammates loves him.
Yeah.
And at the same time, he's just a clever racer.
Yeah.
Like, he's way more clever and more strategic than Charles.
Yeah.
Sorry, Charles fans.
Yeah,
But
Lando
really.
and Charles, I think they really haven't got it yet. Like, I can see they've
No.
got, their cars are developing and all this sort of stuff. But as far as sort of champion drivers go, I don't think they really cut it just yet.
I mean, just like last weekend's Qatar race, right?
Yeah.
When Lando got into trouble with the yellow lights and yellow flag. I mean, Max saw it from a mile.
Yeah, I
And
know.
he took off the brake and all that and stuff. And then Lando just soon passed. Those kind of things you need to know off by heart.
Yeah.
It's almost like women are very good at multitasking. Yes, we are. Men are not. But F1 drivers are different. They are so good at multitasking. It's almost like you need to, in Chinese we say, 一眼觀察, one eye, you look at everything.
Yeah.
7 different angles. And Max can do that with his eyes shut. And
Yeah.
I don't think Lando is there yet.
Yeah,
Sorry,
but
Lando fans.
those guys are not. I mean, they're not at that level, because someone like Max or Lewis or, those guys, they don't even have to think about driving the car. That's
No.
just second nature. Like, Charles is always driving, whereas even Carlos is not. Carlos is busy watching the race. He's like, employing strategy. He's sort of figuring out where everyone is, where
Yeah.
the pit stops are. He's watching the race from a whole different angle. He's not even thinking about driving the car. He's just driving it because
That's
it's
true.
naturally what he
Yeah.
does. Whereas some of them spend their whole, like Lando spends a whole race driving the car. And that's what slows them down. It's like trying to drive. It's
Yeah.
like, stop trying to drive. Just, use your instinct to drive.
Yeah.
But also you have to be like 10 steps ahead of yourself and everyone's strategies, right? And that is what's so good about Carlos. And I feel so sad that my hero, Lewis Hamilton, took his place
I
at
know.
Ferrari. But what he said about, if it was anyone else, it would take a long time to recover. But because
Yeah.
it was Lewis, it's like, okay, hands down.
Yeah.
But it's such a shame for him to go to such a small team now. I mean, can you imagine that paddock walk? Ferrari is right in the front, like
Yeah.
glory. And then you have to walk all the way back to like
I
this
know.
Williams with no money, nothing to really offer to help him to push the championship. But I think he will bring so much to the team that I actually think that next season, Williams is going to do really well. I mean, they won't win a championship, but at the same time, I think they will improve so much just by having Carlos in the team, because he's so damn smart.
I think that Williams are going to be the next McLaren story.
Yeah.
Like in 5 years from now, I think they'll be right back at the front again.
I think
James
that's where
Vowell,
Carlos is actually really good. He helps that development of the team. He really does think strategically all through the race. You know, he's always good with, no, I'm going to stay out, or he knows who's catching quickly or who's dropping back or whatever. He's always got the eye on something else. And I think that's probably how he works well within a team as well. You know, he's a nice guy and he's got all that stuff, but at the same time, really strategic thinking, really forward looking. Yeah, he's really brilliant. And it is such a shame that it's Lewis that's taking over his spot in a way, you know.
yeah.
Tragedy.
I mean, can we talk about how Lewis went from, P12?
Yeah.
16 up till...
Oh, yeah, he started
Was
at
it
16,
12?
but then the others got penalties. So I think he started at 14.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then within a few laps.
Amazing. I know. What a great last
that
race.
overtaking on the
I
outside in the
know.
last lap, I'm like, wow. I almost feel like, did George kind of like slow down for him? No. I watched it again and again and again, and he didn't.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but George didn't fight it.
No, he didn't fight
He
it.
just let it happen. He was like,
Yeah.
it's fine. Just go.
And especially on the how they went into the last race even on points, George and Lewis. And for Lewis to actually beat him on those last couple of corners on the last race, I thought was really fitting.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a tough season as a huge Lewis Hamilton fan to watch how he only won like 2 races.
Tough few
But
seasons.
to me, that was good enough. I mean, Silverstone, I don't cry about a lot of things. I cry when I see like, people suffering or like, like children dying or, if anyone wants to make me cry, just tell me to, remind me of Silverstone, 2024, July the 7th. Because
absolutely amazing, wasn't
race,
it? Yeah.
it was.
Yeah.
I predicted for him to win because I knew he was very good at Silverstone, right? He
Yeah.
won like every single race. But to win after 2 years of not winning the race, I mean, Jason filmed me, which I didn't know he was filming me, like crying before. And I was so nervous, like 5 laps before the race ended. I was so nervous that something's going to go off, his tire's going to blow, or some idiot, like either Lance Stroll or what's the American one? Logan was going to crash into him.
Yeah.
I was so nervous. And Jason kept saying, oh, no, he got this, he got that. I'm like, shut up. I just need to know, like the last lap will be the last lap that he can finish.
Yeah.
When he crossed that checkered flag, oh my God, the emotions,
Yeah.
it was just too much. It was just
Wasn't
too much.
it amazing? I mean, just the intestinal fortitude that you must have to just go through so many seasons of just constantly just your car's porpoising and then it can't, the back end's flying out and the motor's not there and then the aero's gone and then to just still keep fighting. And even, there's points there where it's like, the team's just not giving him the full power of the car. And then to finally come back in the Silverstone race was just amazing. I agree completely at how emotional that was. It was amazing.
I do this all the time. The next race, the next day, I was checking like Red Bull comments and Lewis's comments and F1 on Instagram. Even Max's fans were like, I'm not a Lewis fan, I'm a Max fan, but even I was crying. So that says a lot, how much respect that this guy has. And even last night that he was doing the donuts, right?
Yeah.
There's some people on the internet go, oh, why does he get to do donuts? I'm like, excuse me. There's something called respect here. He's been in this team for so damn long. Yeah. No other driver has been that long in one team and win like 6 championships, right?
I know, incredible.
Show your respect, for God's sake. I mean, yes, I agree that maybe, because a lot of people are leaving or they're going to another team. I mean, Bottas, Zhou Guanyu, Colapinto.
Magnussen.
Magnussen, they're all, I mean, it would have been nice for them to do something for them as well.
Yeah.
But Lewis is in a different league. Who has won 7 times world champion? Like, honestly, none of them.
8 times. Come on, 8 times.
8 times. I mean, yes, exactly. You and I, Lewis fan, we know that was 8 times. And I was saying to Jason last night that it is quite overwhelming. It must be quite overwhelming for Lewis to go to Abu Dhabi in 2022. And even now, right?
Yeah.
Because that was the race that his championship, the 8th title, was taken away from him unfairly. So for someone to show up like that every single year, I mean, that guy is made with steel.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't care about what you think, people. Just fucking stop bitching about my Lewis.
Right, so are we going to do the ceremonial hat swap now?
Yeah, so Brett, you can't see me, but I'm wearing like a Mercedes kind of like pinkish red head.
Oh,
I'm gonna do the swap of Ferrari. I'm gonna take my
oh,
And she's
earphone
dressed
off.
all in red today.
I'm
as
all
well.
in red.
ah.
So goodbye.
This is it. Welcome to the Tifosi.
Tifosi. So wow, you have a big head.
Yeah.
This is big.
I was pretty disappointed with Mercedes, I've got to say, in those last.
Officially a Tifosi.
Good job. Yeah,
Yes.
good one. Yeah, I was pretty disappointed with Mercedes in this last season, I've got to say. Ever since sort of Lewis announced that he was leaving, I have noticed a bit of a difference in the attitude towards him, and I was a bit sort of surprised, you know, considering how he's been so dedicated to them and, you know, all that sort of stuff. I have been a bit disappointed in them, I think.
I mean, to be honest, the day that there were like rumors about flying around saying that he joined Ferrari, I couldn't speak for like 10 minutes because I just thought this has to be a hoax. It's
Yeah.
just impossible because he's so Mercedes, right?
Yeah.
But then it came out from Sky Sports F1. I was like, this must be true because
Yeah.
it's Sky Sports F1. And I just couldn't comprehend why he would go from such an organized team
Yeah.
to like, no disrespect to Ferrari, but their strategists.
Oh, my
I'm just so
gosh.
nervous about their strategists.
Every race, I'm still like, oh, here we go again.
But
I
that's
mean-
the joy of Ferrari.
Oh my God,
Exactly.
You know,
Italians.
that's
I
what
mean-
keeps it interesting.
I don't know. They need to step up the game with the strategists, which I
Yeah.
hope they will with Lewis. They haven't been that bad, actually. There were some questionable decisions at times of a few races, but in general, they are much better
Absolutely.
this season. Yeah,
I've got a question for Grace.
Mm.
So, it's a tough one. So, when Lewis eventually retires, do you stay a Ferrari fan?
I was thinking about that last night, that I was so upset yesterday it was an end of an era last night, right? And then, you know, F1 Instagram and Mercedes, the admin kept posting all these really sentimental posts, and I'm like, for God, all I gave was like these emojis of onions and me crying. You know, every single post that, you know, they've been posted for the past whole weekend. It's I can't even imagine that day comes. I mean, it will come, but what's so great about Lewis, even if you're not a Lewis fan, you have to acknowledge the amount of good work that he's done on track and off track.
Absolutely.
If it wasn't for him, Mercedes will not even get into this whole diversity thing, and that you won't see Naomi Schiff, you know, as a presenter. You won't see more women. You won't see just different people from different countries representing in the F1 world. I mean, he has a lot to do. I mean, when he retires, there better not only be like donuts and fireworks and everything. There needs to be, I don't know, something amazing happens, because that guy, I mean, sometimes I think, oh, who would I like to meet before I die? Actually, I've met Lewis Hamilton in Hong Kong. I almost fainted. But I would love to meet his dad.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
I would love to meet his dad, just ask him questions of how to be a parent, how he did it. I mean, there are loads of interviews about him, you know, how he did all of it. I know all the basic stories, but would love to have like an in-depth conversation with him, because he seems such a cool dad, and he's very understandable, you know, compared to what we read about Max's dad, you know, fear-mongering and all that and stuff.
Yeah.
So it's just two sets of different parenting, and you can fucking tell people. 2021, when it was unfairly, you know, he was unfairly lost the championship to Max. I don't know if that was me. I don't know whether I can truly celebrate that kind of win, because it wasn't a win on merit. It was because of fucking stupid, idiotic Michael Masi
Yeah.
to make that stupid decision.
I don't think you're being harsh enough.
No, and I will say this again, Michael Masi, if I see you in Australia, I think you better run.
Yeah. Watch yourself.
Because, you know, watch yourself, man. I'm not going to say anything more, but that was just like an outrageous kind of breaking the rule, you know, decision that is so unprofessional. And for fans that pay so much money to go and see that race, I would have been fucking pissed.
Absolutely. Yeah, that was absolutely ridiculous. And for Lewis to then go and, rather than sort of spout about it on social media and just complain that he was hard done by and blah, 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 he just kept silent, put his head down, started training, got on with it for the next year. And unfortunately, Mercedes weren't there with the car to back him up, so that, 22 would have been an amazing sort of comeback. But you can see why the talk of him retiring at that point started coming out, but he's stuck in there. And I think that's the thing. He's in a good space now. So we'll see what happens next year.
And also, like, all the interviews and articles that, I've read, they were not giving him what we want as, a Mercedes ambassador and all that. And when I first read that, I was actually really pissed at Mercedes and Toto, because I was like, he's done so much for the team, collectively. Both everyone, at Brackley and Lewis, they have built this amazing team, and they've won 6 championships. Give him some respect.
Yeah, stand up for him.
And I don't understand sometimes, of course, I know the data is very important, when it comes to F1 racing. But also, I read that they didn't really listen to him when he had suggestions. I'm like, at the end of the day, yes, data is important, but also you're not driving. He is.
Yeah.
So I don't know how much they take, drivers' opinions about how to change the car, how to design the car. I mean, I'm only a fan. Of course, it's easy for me to say, but hey, that's why we have this kind of conversation, because, I like to know.
Yeah.
Really. Don't give me like the PR answer. Just really want to know.
Yeah, I think that's where it started to go a bit wrong, was that next season when they really didn't listen to him, and the car was just so shocking that year. And then for it to not really improve in 23, and it was like, and then, there's that talk of contract negotiations, just, offering him a 1 year with maybe the option for a second year or something like that, just wasn't good enough for him. And you can see that if he's saying, no, I'm good, surely you'd say, okay, well, how about a few years then? But if, if he starts to say, no, I think I've got one more left in me, then I can see what they're doing. But yeah, to not respect him that much, to help him sort of shape the car, to be able to push him forward. Yeah, I think that was pretty disrespectful from Mercedes.
But then for us to find out as fans that Toto was, considering Max for 2026 or whatever and stuff, right? And then offered him ambassadorship.
Yeah.
Max has done nothing.
I know.
He's done nothing yet, right?
Shocking.
So why are you offering more than what you offer Lewis?
Yeah.
I mean, just piss me off.
Yeah, me too.
And last night, lap 36, we had 3 champions right, in front of each other.
Yeah.
It was Lewis, Alonso, and Max. And I was like, wow,
amazing.
Someone needs to take a good picture of this, because it was amazing.
Yeah.
Right? All these like from different eras, it's just amazing.
Need to just get Sebastian Vettel back in there and see what we can do.
I mean, I have to say that I used to dislike Sebastian when he was at Red Bull, because it was just obnoxious, all of that I didn't
that's
like.
Red Bull for you though, but
Yeah, I think just from the outside, Red Bull has such a toxic culture. You have to be a certain kind of person to get into Red Bull. That's why Albon never survived. That's why Gasly didn't survive.
Yeah.
And because Danny Ricciardo is such an all-rounded person, and he's probably very good at, politics, that's why he survived, right?
Yeah.
And do we think that lap 47, should Ferrari pitted Carlos to go on medium tires? Because Ferrari wasn't going to win, just being in the same situation. So Jason and I were discussing that perhaps they could take the risk and pit Carlos on medium, just to see how far he could, because they've got nothing to lose.
No, that's
and
right.
He will come
the
out
worst
still
that's going to
ahead.
happen is they're going to get 2 and 3 in the results. So definitely. And I mean, what was, I think Charles was like 22 seconds behind or something at that point. So they would have come out next to each other anyway. It's not like it was a big deal. And it's worth the risk if they do well. So,
because the thing about Lando, right? He gets flustered when he's under pressure, which he didn't last night, because he was in such a safe distance.
Yeah.
But giving Carlos, with Carlos' mentality and feistiness and the competitiveness and medium tires, he would have probably just caught him and put pressure on Lando, and Lando probably would have spun off. Yeah. That's what I think would have happened.
If Lando could see that Carlos was catching him at like a second a lap or something like that, he would start to freak out.
Exactly. So we were saying that they should have pitted.
They always react way too late, which is a shame.
Yeah.
Would have been an amazing finish to have those two.
Yeah, exactly.
Going in the last 5 laps, just going for it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, what I love about this season, that everyone thought Max was going to win everything, right? We've had seven different drivers winning different races. I'm just going to run the statistic here. Max won 9, Sainz 1, 2, Lewis 2, Lando 3, Charles 3, Piastri 2, George 2, which we never thought that was going to happen. We thought it was just going to be all Max.
Yeah.
I mean, how amazing this season has
Especially at the
been,
beginning of the
honestly.
year, that's when it really sort of came down to like, oh no, here we go again.
Yeah.
And then, Carlos winning that third race in Melbourne, and then, back to Red Bull. I mean, even Perez, he was up there, and then suddenly it's like, oh, no, he's not.
Yeah. So do we think he's still going to be around for next
I
season?
hope not.
Yeah,
I hope
don't
he
think
doesn't
anyone
drag it
hopes that,
out.
but
Yeah,
Yeah, he
I
needs
hope he
to
doesn't go for drag it out any longer. It's pretty embarrassing as it is.
yeah,
He gets to a certain
Yeah.
point where he's kind of doing okay, and then I think he just loses all confidence. And he seems
Yeah.
like I remember back in, maybe it was 22 or 23, when they took that mid-season break and he came back just rejuvenated. He did a couple of good races and he was back in the seat, and then he just wasn't. As soon as there's a bit of pressure on him, I don't think he can handle it terribly well. And
Yeah.
I
think
hope he doesn't drag it on. F1's a high pressure game. If you can't handle it, you shouldn't be doing it.
that's exactly what I was going to say. Like, once you lose your confidence, that's it. That's done.
Yeah.
yeah.
And you were
And
going to
that's why
get
I can
like
understand.
Daniel.
I mean, I get how Max acted last night, why Max crashed into Piastri. It was because it's that saying where if you see a gap and you don't take it, you're no longer a racing driver. And I can see that's all he was doing. He saw the gap. He thought, oh, yep, got to go for it, even though he's already won the championship and he had no right to sort of take Oscar out on such a way. But, I mean, he still had to do it. I get it.
But he brought so much entertainment, man.
Yeah.
Seriously. Like none of us expect him to crash like that because,
Yeah, but I think Max was expecting he'd have a bit more grip into that corner.
Yeah, I think so
cold
too.
tyres first,
Yeah.
because they'd been sitting on the grid for a bit before they took off. So I just don't think he should have made it. Like, there was no reason for him to hit Oscar. There was enough room there. I just think that probably a case of just not getting, that extra 5% of grip to stop.
I'm amazed at how long it takes for the back runners to get around that formation lap nowadays. It's like, oh, that's really taken them a long time.
Yeah.
It's always been one of the tactics he used, just to get the tyres, cooled down for the people up the front. But it seems ridiculous nowadays.
Yeah. They should put a timer on it so that the people in the front don't sit there for like ages.
Yeah.
So let's do a prediction for next season. Do we think Lewis can win a championship with Ferrari?
No.
Jeez.
Not next season.
Yeah, I don't know about next season. Well, it's so unpredictable. I remember at the end of last season, it was like, oh, this is the era of Red Bull.
Yeah.
So who knows? But
he will have some wins.
Yeah, I hope. I mean, the thing is, he's also only had Mercedes engines this whole way through. Like, his whole career, he's just had Mercedes engines. So even just that, I think Ferrari will be a whole other world for him. So yeah, I don't know about next season, but hopefully the year after, I think he'll start to do really well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And do we think Adrian Newey is going to bring championship to Aston Martin in 2025 or 26?
Neither.
Yeah,
No.
neither.
If they still have Lance Stroll, no.
No.
Yeah.
Because
Good point.
you need two consistent drivers.
Yeah.
Well, clearly you don't with Red Bull, but
I mean, that's great parenting, to be honest. Like, Lawrence Stroll really believe in his own son. Like, we should all believe in our own son. But at some point, I'll be like, all right, son, you're never going to be what I want you to be, so get the fuck out of my company and stop wasting my money.
Yeah.
wow.
You know?
Yeah, you would hope so. But
So, I mean, but the thing is, trying to understand what Lawrence is thinking, because a person like that, they just want to win. So they will throw money at it, right? But surely, if you know your son is not talented, you don't want to waste your money on that. You rather invest in a rookie or someone like Max and buy him over and just give you what you want. This whole thing is just a waste of time.
yeah, I don't understand. I really don't. Like, it's confusing to me for someone who is such a clever businessman to make such a bad decision on choosing your own kid. I mean, I get for wanting your name up there on the board, but is it worth? How many millions does he spend every year just to get your name not
Like, I
even
wonder
close
what's
to the
going
top of the
on.
board?
I wonder what's going on behind the scenes. Like, what is he actually sort of doing? Like, is Lance just not training, or is he hoping that all the training he might be doing and all the all the exercises and all the diet stuff and all the sim work will eventually just click? Oh, come on.
Like, seriously, when he got beached, I'm like, really,
Yeah.
dude, come on.
Yeah.
Everyone's laughing at you, and
Yeah.
now you've giving people more reason to make more memes about you. Come on. But you know what?
yeah.
He broke his wrist.
Yeah.
That following race, he did so well, and
Yeah.
honestly, I was like, wow, respect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, you know.
Maybe we
And
should do
then-
that all the time. Give him more
Yeah.
injuries.
Yeah, I think what it is with Nepo babies is that because they have never had to try hard. Some people, will fight me over this. Some people will say they have to even fight harder because of the background, right? Because of the privileged background.
Yeah.
But you can't deny there's some bits of elements of mega rich kids. They will not have that kind of same drive as someone like Lewis when he came from nothing.
Yeah.
Ocon, his family's not rich. And there's a big difference. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's that want, isn't it? It's the drive to actually, excuse the pun, but it's the drive to actually just want to do better, to really show people that you're more than where you come from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we saw Brad Pitt last night, doing their last bit of filming.
Yeah.
And then the film's going to come out in June. My hopes are it will be a great watch just because it's funny to watch all the real drivers in the movie.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm like, please don't let it be like really commercial, Americanized, all these cheesy, storyline. I'll be so pissed.
Yeah. I've got my sneaking suspicion it's going to be some kind of a romance, something,
No,
you know.
it
I'm
can't
almost
be.
like,
No, it can't
no.
You think? Oh my God,
No,
please.
it
No,
can't
I
be,
hope
can it?
not.
Really?
It'd be like a version of Top Gun, but in for F1.
Yeah.
No, we don't need
exactly.
that. And also, what is the story? What is the story with Sonny Hayes, which is Brad Pitt's character?
Yeah.
He's old.
Yeah.
I mean, in real life, he's 60. No disrespect. Great that he's still acting, looking great.
Yeah.
But what is the storytelling? Is it about a mature driver, still making it, which is a good story, a good storyline.
Yeah.
But please don't let it be cheesy. I just can't deal with it.
Yeah, I think that's the thing is like with all the Americanization in the last few years, it's bound to happen. They're bound to sort of go a bit Hollywood on it. So there's definitely going to be some bits in there which are cringy and will probably appeal to that sort of younger Americanized audience. But I think at the same time, anything with Brad Pitt and racing cars is okay by me.
Well, I agree with everything, but I'm just not a Brad Pitt fan. So I don't understand why they cast him.
But
It's
I like
Brad
him in his really
Yeah.
random roles. He's awesome. Like, California and Burn After Reading and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Where they're just such extreme opposites to each other, but he's hilarious and terrifying at the same time.
Yeah.
Because you kind of forget that he's him. It's
The only thing,
good.
the only thing about this film that I think it will be very good or at least decent is because Lewis Hamilton is the producer on it.
Exactly.
And apparently he just grilled them on small details that would never happen, so they have to change it. So that's the only saving grace. I'm like thinking, okay, it won't be as bad as I thought.
Yeah.
But
For most people, I mean, a percentage of people wouldn't pick it up, but people that are
F1
actually
fans
into
will.
it, like people who this movie's aimed at, would pick it up in an instant. And, oh, gee, the double diffuser's gone. It's not going to happen. So, yeah, I think like having Lewis Hamilton and people like that involved in the making of it, it can only be a good thing.
Or I read that one part when apparently Brad Pitt's character, Sonny, crashed and he got out of the car and he was like all like dizzy or whatever and stuff. I'm sorry. I've been watching F1 since 1997. I've never seen, even when Grosjean had that massive fire crash.
That was amazing.
He didn't come out as like dizzy and stuff. Come on, So anyway, I think I'm interested. I'm not putting my hopes up. That will be excellent, but I hope it will be at least watchable.
Yeah.
Oh, one more thing. Let's talk about this.
Yeah.
What do we think about Zach Brown being on a podium last night instead of Stella? I mean, we all know that Stella has a lot to do in changing the whole team. I mean, okay, it was Zach Brown's idea to bring him on. Fine.
Yeah.
But I also feel like, because a friend of mine worked with him with Zach before, and so he's that kind of person that, he totally needs the limelight and all of that and stuff, which I can see.
Yeah.
But I'm like, actually, it was Stella that brought the whole team together.
Absolutely.
If it wasn't for him, you'd still be at the back.
Yeah.
So I think, but Jason was saying that Stella probably didn't want to be on the podium.
Yeah, there's definitely that aspect to it. He seems quite humble. The good thing that I've liked as part of this season's coverage has been, Ted will go down onto the pit wall and he'll interview Stella straight after the race. And that's been really nice. Like seeing that just very sensible approach that he's got. He's just a nice guy and he just makes the case really well. If someone screws him over, he talks about, we need to get to the stewards or whatever it might be. He doesn't overblow it. And so he's, I don't think there's that Gunther Steiner thing going on at all. I think he's very much like he steps out of the limelight a bit. So there might be a bit of that going on. And I think Komatsu's a bit the same. I know Komatsu with Haas this year has been really quite amazing. He's done a really good job bringing the entire team together. Even though, Steiner was there and he was doing all the stuff, he was, the star of Drive to Survive as well. So
he was more like an entertainer, right?
Exactly. And I think that's the thing. Zach Brown's got that going on a little bit where he'll step into that limelight and do the fancy stuff. And I think Stella is in the background just doing the hard work, which is good. A good combo.
Yeah. All right, Brett, it was lovely to talk all things F1, my favorite topic.
Yes, me too.
I said to you it'll be 20 minutes. We've been at it for I don't know, 40 minutes or something, right?
Yeah,
yes,
45.
indeed. Exactly.
I'm debating whether we need to do like a Christmas drink gathering if people are up for it. Yeah.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Christmas F1.
Yeah, maybe I'll put it out in our WhatsApp group. And see
great idea, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, so let's do that.
We can all agree how shit the FIA are.
I mean, for God's sake, they need to put some kind of... Why don't they just have like steady people every time?
I think that's the problem. Charlie Whiting dying so suddenly was where it just kind of got thrown into chaos. And you can see the outcome. Like 2 years later, it gets to Michael Masi and he's like, oh, what do I do? What do I do?
Yeah.
So, and I think that's what's going on at the moment. So.
But come on, there must be another Charlie Whiting somewhere down the line.
Yeah, there probably was, and Mohammed bin Sulayem's fired him.
Yes, he's not Lewis's favourite person, I
can see. Or anyone else's, I don't think. So.
But Brad, lovely to catch up on, this season. Then we do like a, summary of 2024.
Exactly.
Bring on 2025.
Start counting the days.
I know, 97 and counting.
Yes. It'll be a good season next season.
Lovely chatting with you both. Thank you, Grace. Thank you, Jason.
All right.
Yeah, good to talk to you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Hopefully we'll hang out soon.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.
Daniel, hello.
Hello, Grace. How are you?
How are you?
I am very well.
Are you ready to talk all things F1?
I am ready to go. What a season, hey?
Hey, Daniel, how are you going?
Hey, Jason, how are you going?
Very good.
All right. What a season. I mean, give me your take on, the whole season so far.
Well, I think it's been the most, in a long time, the most exciting season. Most winners, most multiple winners. And, I think, as I am a Max Verstappen fan, so I'm happy that he won. But I think, it's good to have competition. I like competition. I found the last 2 seasons quite boring. So it's good to have a bit of jeopardy, a little bit of like worry about whether he's going to make it or not. So it's been a very exciting season.
I mean, he hasn't changed much. I mean, he's still brutal. He's still all that and stuff. But as I said to Brad this morning, I was like, I'm beginning to like him.
He's getting funnier.
Yes, he is.
That sense of humor is really coming out now. It's brilliant.
Yeah.
And to be honest, like he is probably one of the few has the guts to really tell the FIA to F off or, when they're being ridiculous.
Yeah, I completely agree. But I think Mac has always been a straight shooter, isn't it? I don't think that has changed about him. But I think he definitely has, has lightened up a little bit, maybe because he's won a couple of championships and a bit more relaxed. And I would say even more straightforward in terms of his talking. And it's refreshing to have him sort of like not really be very political. He just loves driving and just speaks his mind, and he just lets his driving does the talking, really.
Yeah. I mean, he is still a bit shitty at times, when he pulls like all those shitty moves and push people over and then he doesn't get penalty. And that's kind of like annoying, in terms of like the steward decisions and stuff. But I mean, overall, I think this whole season has been great as a spectator. I mean, what do you think of last night's race in Abu Dhabi?
Well, to be honest, I mean, my highlight for that race was really Lewis. I think Lewis
Yeah.
did an amazing job with the comeback. And,
Yeah.
I was hoping that he could podium for his last race with Mercedes, but it was not to be, but it was an amazing drive. I thought Charles did really well. So, I mean, Jason, you must have loved that jump, hey, from, I don't know where he was up to P8. That was crazy.
Yeah.
That was nuts.
Crazy.
I mean, it was such a brilliant drive by both
Yes.
Lewis and Charles.
Yeah.
I'm just going to let you know that Grace is now decked out in a full red outfit.
Oh, yeah.
Daniel, she's already transitioned. It's
I was
like
transitioned.
Mercedes who? She's
Yeah.
gone.
Yep.
Right.
And I just literally like a few hours ago, I unfollowed Mercedes because I've only got 200 spot on my Instagram page. I'm not following anymore. So when I have a new follower, when I follow someone new,
Yes,
old one has to go.
Yes,
I've got to drop
yes,
someone. And
yes.
I'm sorry, Mercedes. I mean, I love you. I love you, Mercedes. We've had a great many years, but I'm following Lewis to Ferrari. So yes, I'm all decked out in red. It's my favorite color anyway. So I'm all for like next season. Bring it on.
Amazing. But it's going to be a fun rivalry between Charles and Lewis. I mean, Lewis is still really, really good. I mean, that drive was amazing. So,
amazing.
people who say that he's washed, I'm like, come on, like, he's still got amazing racecraft. I think.
Yes.
Yeah. So, but I mean, it's going to be fun to watch. I can't wait for that. I'm struggling now to see what do you guys think, whether the Ferrari pairing would be the best pairing or the McLaren pairing?
I think, okay, first I've got two questions. Who do you think will be the leading driver for next season for McLaren? Because I honestly feel Lando is improving, and last night he really showed that he's a great driver, but he is just, in my eyes, very inconsistent. Whereas Piastri, he's only been in F1 for a very short period, and already he's won. And his brutalness, he's got a lot to learn still, but for it's his second season only, and he's done so many right things already, with the help of Mark Webber. I'm sure that that excels everything. But I wouldn't be surprised because I kind of feel McLaren's team, they're in two minds about who's going to be leading. They say it's Lando, but then when Piastri is doing really well, is it going to change? What do you think?
I think Oscar has that killer instinct. I just think Lando's too nice. That's the problem.
Yeah,
I think Lando's too nice. I think Zach Brown and the whole team, because obviously Lando's been with the team for such a long time, they really want him to be the first one after a long time to win the championship. But I don't know. I think the first few races will be very interesting between the two of them, because I think if this season taught them anything, they can't sort of like let them. They have to pick someone and back them all the way. So I think the first few races, hopefully, someone will come out on top, and they will just have to back them, because if not, I think they're going to do the same thing they did this year again, and because they have had the best car since in June. And
they should have. It shouldn't be like last night. It should not have been last night to determine who's going to win the constructors. They should have had this like at least 3-4 races ago.
Definitely, yeah. So I think as a team, they've bottled it a little bit with a bit of strategy, but also I think with Lando just not being cutthroat enough, he just needs a bit more of that sort of like FU attitude that Max has, that I feel like someone like Lewis has, someone like even Oscar Piastri seems to have that kind of like attitude to be really just be ruthless. I think
I think he has, but sometimes he's a bit too cautious he's not a fighter, so to speak. I don't think when you watch him and Max battle, it's either Max is always like going for it, and he has reservations. You can tell.
Yes,
I don't think he's not brutal. I just think that his experiences is not quite there yet.
Yeah, but I think until he really has it out with Max, it's kind of like when Max had to go at Lewis at Silverstone, and they ended up, Max hitting the wall in that crazy accident.
Yeah.
After that, Max was way more cautious around Lewis. he didn't try it ever again. He's just
Yeah.
like, no, okay, I've learnt where the boundaries are with Lewis. And I don't think until Lando kind of does that on
Mhm.
one occasion, just to say, no, there's the boundary, like
Yeah.
that's it, you know.
Yeah.
It's going to take something like that to
But
get.
he has voiced out, like, you know, it's not as if he's like a walkover. You know,
No,
has
but he doesn't
No.
prove that on track. Like he sort of, you know, he does try and fight hard, but not in the same way that Max does, I think.
He
Yeah.
definitely back out if the two of them are at it.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, but I mean, to give him benefit of the doubt, this is the first season that, and it's not even from the start of the year. It's from the middle of the year that we really had a car that could actually consistently win races.
but the difference being, I mean, all the Lando fans are going to come at me, but the difference being between Max and Lando, right? Max with a shitty car, he'll probably still win, whereas Lando won't.
Yeah,
So, you
Yeah.
know, that's the big difference. But,
yeah,
and also, I think the team, McLaren team, they need to be more precise and
Yeah.
tell the drivers who is leading whatever and stuff. You know, because that
Mm.
race when, you know, the team orders was implemented, but then Lando took so long, and it's really bad on Lando just to be like that, very last minute, and gave it to, you know, Oscar. But it's just really bad, you know, teammateship.
Yeah, but yeah, I think, like, for me, I think I don't I think there needs to be a one person that they hedge their bets on, because when there is so, like, I think the year where with Rosberg and Hamilton, I mean, that didn't matter because Mercedes was just so far ahead. But when it's so close, and I think next year is going to be very close.
Yeah.
You can't have teammates taking points off each other, because it will end up in a situation where someone on the other side will win just because your teammates are taking points off each other.
Yeah. I mean, that
Yeah.
year with Rosberg was 2016.
Yeah.
That was the year when Jason and I met Lewis at a Gucci
Yeah.
dinner. At
Yeah.
a Gucci dinner in Hong Kong. And I remember vividly that I said to him, because it was my birthday the next day,
Yeah.
and I told him, and he was like, oh, happy birthday, gave me a kiss on the cheek, and I didn't wash my face for like 2 weeks. And I said to him, make sure you win the title this year. And he said, oh, that's a lot of pressure. He was so humble, and he's already
Yes.
won like 6 championships by then.
Yeah.
And he was so humble, so nice, but I guess, he's not one of those people that are just like egotistic when it comes to winning, because, it could all go wrong, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, that was a highlight of my life, meeting Lewis Hamilton in Hong Kong. I mean,
Yeah.
more than my wedding. So last night, it was a great race. And I think to round it up, I was so thrilled to see, the FP1 with all the rookies coming in, bringing fresh air, a breath of fresh air, like Leclerc's brother, RB Isaac, and then the Brazilian guy. I mean, it's so exciting. I really want to have more rookies.
Yeah. How do you think all the rookies went, though? Like, I mean, this whole season, taking into account all the rookies, who initially I was really impressed by Colapinto, but then the last few races, like, I mean, to be fair, the Williams, I mean, it's a bit of a shitbox, but but he was real. I mean, in terms of the swagger, the sort of like, like the whole, he got me excited, with his whole sort of like a Senna-esque sort of like, even looking a little bit like Senna. Yes. It really got me excited. But, I think he's a really good driver, so he really deserves a chance.
He drove so well the first 2 races in the Williams. I mean, come on. So can you imagine if you give him like a McLaren, what he can do?
Yeah.
So I think it's interesting with rookies, right? They all started very well, and then they just drop off. But I think Ollie Behrman was very impressive with his first race with Ferrari.
But they always do that because they jump in a car and there's no pressure. They just they just have to get it across the line. So there's nothing for them until team pressure comes into it later. Once they get a seat, then when you're told you have to perform, that's a whole different story. It's like, whether you're feeling good or bad, you have to perform right now. And that's a whole different world of sport altogether.
Yeah. I mean, when you're young, when you don't have that kind of capability of coping with pressure, that gets to you, I'm sure. But Duhan did really well last night, I think. He didn't
Yeah.
crash.
Yeah.
And, whether he's, good or not, we don't know. But at least he stuck to the game, and then nothing happened. He just drove, and that was it. So I think that was good.
Like, I agree with you, Jason. It's sort of like, you compare, Liam Lawson when he got dropped in last year. And then, I know he's not a rookie anymore, but, his performance last year was so much better compared to, a really lackluster, couple of races that he had, I still can't believe that he might be in the in the Red Bull.
You think? I was going to ask, who's going to replace Checo, do you think, if he was to be replaced?
Oh, gosh. I wish it would be Yuki Tsunoda, honestly.
Me too.
Like, I think if anyone
He's proved
deserves a
himself.
chance, yeah, exactly. Like he's had how many teammates now, and he has basically beaten all of them. I mean, if you don't promote, someone who has proven himself, then that's just ridiculous. So I know they won't, which is ridiculous. But yeah, what are you going to do?
Why do you think they won't?
I have no idea, to be honest. Maybe I think the excuse that that they will sort of release, I suspect, is also because his attitude and his temper and things like that. But I don't think that's a valid reason, though. Like, if you're fast, you're fast.
Hello, Max. I mean, he has a great temper. Come on.
Exactly. And
Liam Lawson is not actually like mute either.
Exactly. So I think you need. I think Max they obviously don't want someone who's going to be fighting Max. I think that's not how Red Bull's DNA is. There's always a clear number one and number two. So I don't know. It's I think Yuki, the main issue for him is they're just going to keep saying that he's just doesn't have the right attitude, and he's too feisty, and I don't know whether they're afraid that he's going to sort of challenge Max, which, I mean, let's be honest, I don't think Yuki is as the same caliber as Max. So
No.
I don't know. So
do we honestly think Yuki's as like that fast, that competitive? Because if you look at someone like Hulkenberg, who can drive a Haas around and get it to the front, and it's not amazing, like Yuki's great. I love him as a driver, but he's consistently middle. And does he get near the front enough? Does he get that, the 8th or so position week in, week out? Behind the leading 4 teams. Is he always the first of the rest?
I mean, he beat Daniel Ricciardo almost every
I think
single race.
at the start of the year,
Yuki.
at the start of the year he was okay, and then I think RB just went backwards as well. But I take your point, Jason. I think he's not a stellar driver. He's not like a standout driver. But in terms of like of the if they're talking about an internal sort of like promotion, like within RB Red Bull, then I think he's the shoo-in terms of just performance, But if we're opening up to outside, then it's a different story altogether, And there are other drivers definitely, that deserves it more than any of the current RB and the second Red Bull driver as well,
I mean, surely, Yuki is better than Liam, to be honest.
Yeah.
I mean, and also if you put Yuki in a Red Bull, it's a lot more powerful. Maybe the problem with Yuki's and RB is that the car is not good enough for him. So it's almost like they need to test him with, in the Red Bull and see how good he is. Because I don't think it's right to just give it to Liam, because Liam will be very obedient and all. I don't think Yuki will ruin his chance of being a dick if he's in a Red Bull. I think he will know his place.
I want Yuki.
Oh yes.
I reckon he'd be awesome.
Yeah, I think he will be, and I hope the fight will be even closer next year, even from the start of the year. And if Red Bull's gonna want to have someone to be able to sort of like snipe points off, the other teams, they need someone who's quick. And clearly Sergio is not quick enough.
No. I mean, please, I'm quicker than Sergio. Come on. Even by walking, I'm quicker than him. Do we think that Max will go to Mercedes in 2026? Because it could happen, right? And would George swap to go to Red Bull?
I I don't know. I think for me, my gut feel is that I think Max will stick around for 1 year and see what happens. Although I don't think that Red Bull will be able to produce a car as good and as dominant as it is right now. So I don't think so. I think Max will stay for a year.
Yeah.
I don't reckon George would survive at Red Bull.
No, he's just
No.
too.
You need to be pretty tough to be in that.
Yeah, he's
you
a
know,
bit too princessy
Just the
to survive.
environment, I think. Yeah.
But I do give him credit for standing up to Max, though.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
good.
So that was very cool, and it should be like that, you know. So and also let's come back to my Sir Lewis Hamilton. Do you think he will bring home the championship with Ferrari next year?
I to be honest, I think Leclerc is
really?
very talented. Between Leclerc and Max, I think Leclerc might have the edge.
Oh,
Yeah.
not Lando? What about Lando bringing home the
Oh
championship?
no, just between Ferrari. So like
Oh,
if,
right.
if we're talking about Ferrari and who might come out on top next year, I think Leclerc might have the edge because I'll qualify that to say that because I'm a bit worried about Lewis and his ability to do qualies because recently he hasn't been really good. And you know, when Leclerc puts it on, like when Leclerc is on form and he's got the right sort of like support, I think he can win championships. You know, I've got a question mark still on Lando, to be very honest. So I still think Lando just lacks that little bit of edge. You know, in terms of talent, this raw talent, Leclerc, you know, Max, and then Lewis, they are like one tier, and then Lando is just right behind them. You know,
Yeah.
and if you don't put the right sort of car and the right sort of mentality with Lando, I don't think he can. But I think Leclerc can. So
See, I feel the same about Charles, what you've just said, actually. I think him and Lando are like on the same par. Like, I think both of them under pressure, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And they will do really like silly moves or you just go off track or I think now we know 2 words that every single driver are scared of is track limits.
yeah.
That's for sure. Oh man, it's been a great season. I mean, it's quite depressing that it's, you know, we don't have anything till like another 3 months. Daniel, it's been a pleasure. You know, lovely to catch up, and
Lovely to catch up too.
It's just amazing to find my people in Perth that are really into F1. I met another lady yesterday at a toy show.
Great.
Because she was wearing a Ferrari Carlos Sainz hat, and we just went off, and I wheeled her in to join my F1 GTT now.
Great. Our little group is growing thanks to you guys.
Exactly.
Great.
All right, Daniel. Nice
All right.
chatting. And
Good
then
chatting.
We'll chat on WhatsApp.
All right.
Nice one.
Okay.
See you, Daniel.
Bye.
See ya.
Hey, stick around to learn some cool Cantonese slang. Welcome to this week's episode of Canto Banter.
廣東話吹水時間
I'm your host, Professor Lam.
and I'm the assistant Professor Theo.
And I'm the mature student, Jason.
Today, we're going to teach my husband
My dad.
some useful
Cantonese.
Cantonese. Here we go. Welcome to this week's episode of Canto Banter. This week, we're going to teach you my favorite topic, Formula One.
What's with a new hat?
I mean, of course, transition from Mercedes to Ferrari because Sir Lewis Hamilton has gone to the red. So
Finally
here I
joining
am.
the dark side.
Here I am. So this week, we're going to teach you Formula One. What is Formula One in Cantonese, Theo?
一級方程式賽車
Okay, I'm
Very,
Uh,
very easy. Very easy. We'll break it down. Yet cup,
Yep, cup,
and then
一級方程
fong, ting,
式賽
sick, choi.
式賽
Eat vegetables.
No.
Sick, choi. What?
Anyway, 式賽車
okay.
Eat
Let's break
vegetable car.
it. No.
Right, good. This is good. Okay.
Nice.
Yet cup,
Yep, cup,
方程式
fong, ting, sick,
賽車 means racing cars. Yet cup,
choi, te.
yeah. Yet cup,
Yep, cup,
方程式
fong, ting, sick,
賽車.
choi, te.
Very good, no?
Is any of it sticking in your head?
None of it makes sense, but
Okay.
sure, as long as it works for you guys, I'm happy.
Cool.
And then let's go to my favorite driver, best driver of all times after Ayrton Senna, Sir Lewis Hamilton. We're going to teach you his surname. because it's shorter
Is
and
it
easier rather than
Hamilton?
Lewis Hamilton. What is Hamilton in Cantonese, Theo?
Hamilton.
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 How's that, Theo?
It sounds like you're saying maiden at the end for some reason. That may just be my ears, but who cares?
Hamilton. It's kind of like strawberry
Yeah.
What strawberries?
in Cantonese.
That's not.
What do you
But
think
you know, it's
strawberries
pronounced
are?
in the same way.
What strawberries in
Strawberry.
Cantonese, Theo?
Strawberry.
What's Hamilton?
Hamilton. Kind of similar.
What? Anyway,
Are you thinking of the tones or the actual words themselves?
Yeah, just the way that you say it.
focus.
Back to it.
What is world champion, Theo?
世界冠軍.
Yes.
世界冠軍.
世界.
世界.
Now you're saying say. Like
What
West.
did you say?
What is say?
Say.
We're back to the hand gestures again. Right.
Say means small, right? The sound is small. But 世界 world. 世界.
世界.
Theo, what's champion?
Small chicken. 世界.
What's champion, Theo?
That is 冠軍.
冠軍.
Yeah.
Yes.
世界冠軍.
世界冠軍.
Oh my god. I think we need to wrap up because it's not going anywhere.
Can I go now?
Yes, go.
Yeah,
go,
thank
go.
you.
Bye! If you enjoy my chat today, please tell a friend, write a review, and give me a 5-star rating to help me climb the chart so I can get that exclusive deal. As if. Follow me on Don't Make Me Call Her on all social media platforms. Tune in every Friday for a new episode. Don't Make Me Call Her podcast series is produced by Hero Production. Music by Lindsay Lai at lindsayli.com. Thank you to all my guests. A big thank you to Jason and Theo Capobianco for joining me each week. Now, pick up the phone and call someone you care about. Bye!